Let me take a selfie.
You're an amazing man.
All right.
I didn't want to tell you that.
Okay, you're a designer.
Dave, is that?
Tiz is an amazing man. He's helped me so much, and you guys never even see it, and he stays humble.
Dave, is that zebras on your shirt, man?
That's pretty funny.
Like it.
My mic fell out.
Strike forces. All right. Ready? Set. And go. Trip Digital Radio presents LA Style Magazine. Tis the time. Marquita Monet and Trisha Love. What's going on, y'all?
What's the deal?
Love, nothing but love and harmony.
I see.
Oh boy.
I can feel a vibration. Something good is about to happen.
Oh my gosh, your journey looks so good, guys.
Thank
you guys
you,
have to
baby.
just
Thank
tune
you.
in and live
Thank
stream.
you. Thank
Like
you.
it's amazing.
Fresh from church.
Oh, okay.
Fresh from
We're
church.
saved.
All
We're
right.
saved.
You know.
I don't know. My shirt is covered in chihuahua hair. Can you see that?
Ooh, y'all hear that voice? Ooh, but you don't know who that is.
Marquita, since you the live is all the time, you should bring in our guests right
God.
now.
Well, first of all, everybody, I hope you are live streaming so that you can see this extraordinary, beautiful man that is amongst us. Well, it's a beautiful man all over, but it's about the guest that we are interviewing, and it is Mr. Will Hannigan.
Let's give it up for Will.
Give it to him. Give it to him.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys have got to talk to us about this amazing
I'm
man.
saying,
Who
man, you
brought
got some
him
bling
on
on
the
it, so I got to
set?
get to that here.
Who brought him on the set? Talk to
I
him.
love it. I love it. You got some bling on there, bro.
Yeah, you know, I've started making these big pearl rings, and these are the things that people notice at first, because normally I cover my neck up from walking around, especially downtown. But these rings are getting a lot of attention right now. So this is a
gorgeous,
an octopus.
Ooh.
Wow.
It's a
That's fire.
and this is a snake eating an egg.
Whoa.
It's going to trip out, and then my
That's
classic
powerful.
classic piece is this is the shark.
A shark, huh?
Shark. So
Alright.
yeah.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah, so look at that.
So, Will, tell us a little bit about how your journey began. You're a third generation pearl diver, now turned designer, right? Tell
Yeah,
us about
so
that.
well, I mean, I come from a long lineage of adventurers, and you know, and then through my mother's family, she's Aboriginal. So in our area, we were the traditional owners of this land where all the pearls come from. So I go way back, like you know, multi thousands of years. But when my mother's you know, her white father's family came, they came on behalf of the king 200 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
And they went through and mapped this coastline, and they found all these pearl shell that the Aborigines were wearing.
Yeah.
So then my great-great-grandfather sent his son there to start a ranch and then start collecting pearls.
And where are you speaking of? Where they come
I'm talking about the far northwest of Australia. So in the very most remote outback part of Australia, yeah.
So, when you say through the lineage of your father, that what king ordered him from what country or from where?
Well, it was 100 years ago, so I guess it was part of England.
Got it.
So
Tied
it was
to
the
England.
Queen and Queen Victoria. Way back.
Oh.
But it was called the King Expedition of 1819 that they went. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a 200-year-old story. But then I'm a third generation pearl diver. So my grandmother's two brothers were hard hat divers. They were diving with the old, you know, hat. Have you ever seen those pictures of the old people diving? with
Yeah,
those
what
hats?
the oxygen and everything is
Yeah.
inside of like the helmet almost like thing.
Yeah, so that helmet
Yeah.
started off being worn for firemen were actually wearing those in England. And so they started off being used for that. And then they realized that if they pumped enough oxygen in there and then put lead in your shoes, you could walk on the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
And so they practiced that in the lochs of Scotland. And then they brought it over to Australia. And And they started doing that, around 120 years ago. So my
That's
ancestors started
extraordinary.
So did you? So you were what? You said what generation are you?
I'm third generation for pearl divers, but I go way back, like 6 generations.
So have you ever done that one? Have you ever gone back and did that old school joint?
Well, it's actually suicidal.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm asking you, because I'm like, yo, that's not a great idea, man. Because those cats weren't living too long doing that, man.
No. Well, my uncle just passed away now at 88. He was one of the pioneers for that, and he ended up getting the bends, which is a form of decompression sickness. He got it in the bones, and so he was in pain for 20 odd years. But it was cool. They called him like the black Keith Richards. He was like he had about 3 teeth and just
3 teeth. I love it. So authentic.
One eye. Yeah, he was a cool old dude. Drove around in a pink mini moke. But like that is a real hardcore profession to do it like that. And then I transferred into oil and gas, and for a while I was training myself up to be a saturation diver. So I was actually going to learn how to dive on oil rigs, and that was even more extreme because you go into a little diving bell there and you get dropped to the bottom of the ocean. And you stay down there you're under pressure for a month. So they bring you up every night, but you stay under pressure, and then after 3 weeks of work they decompress you. So
oh my God. How do they decompress you?
Well, you're in a chamber, so you're pressurized, and then you drop down, and you're working on the doing menial tasks on oil pipes, but at 300 meters, 900 feet underwater. So I had that option, or I could just come to Hollywood.
Right, exactly.
And start designing.
Well, how you doing?
Exactly. How are you?
Yeah.
Talk about the pressure that you have to be under to find a treasure. The price that has to be paid for a treasure. Yes.
The pressure to find the treasure.
Woo! Yes, another gift.
I just have one question before we go on, because I know you're about to skip one, but I gotta find out. So now you're diving, right? So what's the craziest situation you've been under while you've been under?
Oh, my first dive pearling, I lost my mouthpiece. No, my weight belt. So we get pulled behind a boat. There's 8 divers getting pulled behind a boat. And recently in the year, one of the divers had died. So there was a bit of bad juju going around. It was an accident, a workplace accident. So everyone was a little bit higher level stressed. And my weight belt came off, and my air hose is attached to my weight belt.
Oh.
So when my weight belt fell off onto the bottom of the ocean, my air hose got pulled out of my mouth. And we're getting pulled along behind the bottom of the boat.
And how far are you under?
70, 80 feet.
Ooh, and there's no way for you to communicate this to anyone?
No.
Wow.
But I'm no longer attached to the boat, because you're attached to the boat via the air hose. So I just had this work line which I had to drop because I was going the opposite way, because I was, my weight belt was not moving on the bottom of the ocean, and everything else was moving away. So I swam and grabbed my weight belt, picked up and threw it into my bag, which is called a neck bag, and that's where you put all the shell. As you're getting pulled along the bottom of the ocean, you put the oyster shells into your neck bag, and then eventually you put them into the big bag, which is at the front of the line that you're hanging onto on the bottom of the ocean. So for about 15 seconds, I had no oxygen, and I was just free from the bottom of. And I had this flashback. I was like, "This is how you die." And so it's a very dangerous profession. It's safe in the way that not many people have died. Maybe 2 or 3 people.
But that's just because of the odds of people, the numbers of people that actually do it.
Yeah, there's probably 30 people.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
first of all,
percentage, right?
I'm not included. It will never be.
Yeah, not too bad.
Wow.
Wow,
but tell us a little bit about also like the legacy of this pearl diving. Like, who does the family and the farm sell the pearls to? Tell us some of those names.
So, Australian South Sea pearls, which is what we dive to collect, the shell that then grows those pearls, are amongst the finest in the world. So the largest white pearls in the world are Australian South Sea pearls.
Okay.
So if you go to Mikimoto, they're Australian South Sea pearls, anything above, say, 11 millimeters. Tiffany, Harry Winston, Van Cleef and Arpels.
Mm-hmm.
In Louis Vuitton, in the Place Vendôme, they have a beautiful jewelry section. Anyone that wears a beautiful pearl, that's a very expensive pearl, it's an Australian South Sea pearl.
Yeah. Wow.
So
lovely.
We underpin the global pearl market. So it's like the De Beers of diamonds, but for pearls.
Got it.
That's good.
Wow.
And tell us a little bit about like this design, like the shark. Like, what's the retail price of something like this?
Oh, that one's in white gold 18 karat with it's got black diamonds, and so everything I do, I make it all downtown here in LA. So it's not like I make it overseas and bring it in. It's all, I'm supporting the local industry.
Yes.
For me, it's important. But I don't know, they retail from around 9,000 and then go up from there. So my expensive, big rings here, because this is a 19 millimeter pearl, which is one of the largest. 20 is the very largest. 19 is very, very large. These are around 18,000.
Whoa. Those are gorgeous. You got to tell us a little bit more about your design style, and what do you feel makes your collection unique to all of the others or other designers in the industry? Yeah. I can see it.
I get a lot of
but I'd love for you to express it.
But I don't know. When I originally came to LA, I came here because, I was doing all this diving and it was building up a lot of mental stress. And, I had some yoga girlfriends that got me into yoga. So just down the street here, I used to live like 2 blocks from here, but just down the street, I'd go do this Kundalini yoga and get into meditation. And, I was deeply into shamanism, through my Aboriginal heritage. So I was connected very much to like this yoga practice and understanding Ayurvedic astrology and Ayurvedic stone, Ayurvedic stones. So understanding the properties of pearls and the properties of other stones.
Lovely.
So that's kind of where my idea to create jewelry came from. So there's a very talismanic edge to my jewelry. So, this is clearly an octopus, and octopus has a very strong meaning, in all different types of mythology. I love the Japanese mythology, but also Cthulhu and the Norse. And all the Vikings, they talked about the big giant squid, and then the snake as well is obviously coming back to rainbow serpent.
Yeah.
And then with my necklaces, I originally did everything with turquoise for the throat, and then pearls for the heart. Yeah. So blue stones work on the throat chakra.
Whoa, I've been vibing blue lately.
Yeah, so blue is for, you're a great communicator. Yeah. So blue helps with communication.
Oh my God, it's a sign.
Yeah, so everything I was doing was blue, like aquamarine, turquoise, lapis. Yeah. And that helps open the throat. And then the pearls for the heart. So my jewelry was like, meant to be made almost as a form of spiritual technology.
Yes, I was just about to ask the crew, like, are you guys feeling what I'm saying? Like, one of the things that makes him distinctly different from everyone in the industry is that his designs are definitely spiritually influenced. Yeah. Because I'm noticing when I'm looking at that gorgeous octopus ring over there on your left hand that's shining in my face, that eye that's right there. It's like a golden eye. Can you tell us a little bit about your choice to place that? Oh my God, I get to hold it. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am a queen. I am a queen. Can you tell us a little bit?
So I put a 1/2 carat yellow diamond and the evil eye more or less like wards off the haters.
Whoa. So your choice to put that golden eye right there that's sparkling all in my face it was symbolized as it's a spiritual energy that you're putting out to back the haters off of us.
Yeah.
Yo, I need 5 of those.
Exactly. Thank you so much. This is for the whole Dream crew, because we're rising and things are trying to come against us. So we won't allow that.
See, I got one on my chest here with a little ruby.
Let me see. Ruby's my stone.
Exactly. It is.
There you go. Cabochon.
Oh my gosh. I just going to take a selfie.
And so where does what is your influence on those though? I mean, what makes you come up with the octopus and come up with the snake and the different, where do you come from?
When I was pearl diving and I grew up in this community of everyone in my family were pearl divers. They worked on the pearl farms. These were the animals, and also being Aboriginal, these were the animals that I was surrounded by in my daily life. So this octopus in particular was representing the blue ring octopus, which is a very highly venomous, it's one of those dangerous Australian animals that you don't want to mess with.
But you didn't fear that in diving?
I did. And so I created objects that I feared as a way of protecting myself from that object.
Well, can you speak on that just a little bit? I felt something.
It's
chills.
Like when you fear something, you bring it into your actual physical, into the physical realm. When I pull it from my fear into the physical realm, I don't fear it anymore. I'm wearing this object on my finger that
you're owning it.
I was very afraid of these little octopus because they can sometimes live in a dead pearl shell. And so you're diving and you pick up a pearl shell and you put it into your neck bag. And then you've just put a poisonous little blue ring octopus into your neck bag.
Oh, was that small?
Indeed.
Oh, they're that small.
Oh. Whoa.
And they
I've never
crawl
even
out
seen them this
and
small.
they'll bite you. And then within, a few minutes, you can't breathe. And then within 10 minutes, you're dead.
Wow.
And when you're out in the ocean.
Did you know anyone that ever passed away from that?
Blue ring, not personally, but there are stories about people being bitten. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you designed it after you had already stopped diving. You had retired from diving per se, right?
Exactly. But once a pearl diver, and when you're in there, so these were things that were always on my mind.
Yeah.
I have, everyone fears death.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what things can kill you? So this is, a sea snake that I have on my right hand. And, it's just the emblem of the actual snake wrapping around the pearl. And, snakes have all this other representation. They go back to the Garden of Good and Evil. But for me, I saw snakes on a daily basis. And these are the most venomous sea snakes. We're very lucky that the sea snakes have teeth way in the back of their mouth. So they could really only bite you in the webbing of your fingers or, somewhere where you could be really exposed. But they're very, I was afraid of them because they'd always come around and they'd wrap around your rope while you're diving, or they'd just, divers would grab them and shove them into your neck bag to play with you.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
not a game we play. It's not a game we play.
Like
900 feet under. That's not a game I'm playing.
No, not at all. I won't even be that low.
Yeah. We'd get these giant turtles that we'd find on the bottom of the ocean alive swimming, but they'd just be chilling on the bottom. And so when our boat would go over the top of them, the boat would be way up, but we'd be diving and we'd see them. So we'd jump on the back of them and stick a thumb in the general vicinity of their butthole, and that would fire up these
Get their
gigantic turtles on the bottom of the ocean, and then they'd start chopping. And it would be like Mario Kart would push the turtles into the other divers, and they'd get sideswiped by these,
So y'all down there playing games.
Right, like
playing
Russian
games.
roulette.
Call those ocean games.
Yeah, that was our
literally.
hobbies.
Oh my God.
That is insane.
This is so beautiful. Sorry, Trish.
No, you're fine. So I'm curious about your journey in design when you got to Hollywood. Tell us about some of the people you've worked with and names and how you were able to cultivate those relationships and just because your designs are really unique. But one of the biggest challenges in being a designer is making the pathways to finding the right people to see your designs, to appreciate them, and getting big names to recognize them.
That's
so
true.
how did you make that happen?
Yeah, I'm not much of a name dropper in terms of my private clients that are celebrities and anything, but I have a few good private clients.
Yeah.
But when
to inspire others, how did you make that happen?
It was all just out of, I'd say, God's work. For me, it's just your path. Your path is created, and then if you take the chance to, show people what you did. For a long time, I was kind of afraid of showing people. So I'd walk around with a bag with, maybe 3 times as many necklaces that I'm wearing now and half a dozen rings and a few bracelets in my bag. And it wasn't until I went to this tiny little community in Sun Valley, which is, Sun Valley for me is my spiritual home away from home.
Where's that?
It's in Idaho. So, I went up there with some friends, and I walked into this lunch or it was like a restaurant, and there was a group of ladies, very wealthy ladies from LA and San Francisco and New York, all having lunch. And one of the ladies I'd met the night before, and I told her that I was a pearl diver, and at that point, that's exactly what I was. And she said, "Will, do you have any pearls on you? You're a pearl diver." And I said, "Yeah, actually, I have a bag full." So at that moment, I just opened the bag up and laid it on the table, and it was like, you know, I've seen a shark feeding frenzy, and this was a feeding frenzy. And the women were grabbing the pearls and putting them on and pulling out checkbooks, and it was like, hey, like how much? And at that moment, you know, in that next 10 minutes, I probably made what I normally make in a year of pearl diving.
Whoa!
And I thought, well,
what was that? Out of curiosity,
at least he didn't shock himself.
It was a decent amount of money. I mean, I don't know, like let's say around $80,000, $90,000.
That's so beautiful. The thing that you feared not showing this gift, what you sacrificed your life for to catch this beauty of God's creation. You feared it, and you had the courage, or some type of way it came out, and you ended up being like
blessed,
rewarded. Yes.
Yeah.
Blessed. Do you know how many people are being inspired all across the world listening to this right now?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're such a hero.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I think I just at that moment, you know, I realized, well, this is my truth, and you know, I really thought, yeah, I do kind of cool stuff, but it's a little bit tribal. It's a little bit kind of basic. It's not very she la la. It's not chic. It's not, I couldn't see the chic elements. But since then, you know, I've met all these great fashion designers, and I go to Paris and I show in Paris twice a year, and people love it. People say, you know, like, I get it because it's very simple, but it's elegant. Yeah. And I hadn't seen the elegance because I'd never really been, you know, I don't think I'm an elegant person, but I'd never been around like sufficient elegant people that have an eye for what I do. So I thought I was like one thing, and they said, no, you're actually an artist. And I said, okay, thanks.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I just have to say, as I'm looking at this ring that I've been so fortunate to wear during the show, I see like a reflection of the rainbow. I was telling Tiz, I'm like, it's like the rainbow. And everyone knows here how much I love the rainbow.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's like,
you know, the rainbow represents obviously all colors, but a beautiful pearl has luster. For me, that's the most important. You can have marks on the skin, you can have a funky shape, you can have any size, but the luster is the most important. So the luster, if you break it down to science, it's the way that the calcium and the carbon layer in perfect right angles to create a crystalline structure that refracts light perfectly. And this is all done in nature. It is also to do with the lip of the oyster. So when we dive to collect that oyster, and then we operate on it. So we don't just collect pearls out of oysters like the old days. They used to just, you know, take every oyster from the bottom of the sea, kill it, cut it open. The most valuable part was the actual shell. And, you know, 100, 200 years ago, that shell was going for, you know, 100 something pounds a ton. And, you know, 100 pounds could buy you like a few homes. Right. And so they were collecting thousands of tons. And the pearls were coming one every 10,000 shell. You'd find a natural pearl. Those natural pearls were going to London, going to Dubai, and they're being sold for very high prices. But then Mikimoto created the cultured pearl. And so we're now using Mikimoto's patented technology, which is culturing the pearl. So down the Mississippi Delta, there's a pig toe mussel, you know, big clam that they dredge the delta for, collect these mussels, cut them all up, collect the shell, cut it all up, and then they turn it into a little bead that they insert into the nucleus, as a nucleus into the gonad of the oyster. So it's in vitro fertilization. What's up about this? So when that little nuclei goes into the oyster, we have to kill one shell as well. It's a sacrificial SIBO, it's called. So we cut it open, cut out the mantle tissue of the shell, put that little piece of mantle tissue into the oyster. So we're inseminating the oyster, the gonad, with, you know, technically a sperm from another shell,
Mm-hmm.
and then putting in that bead like an egg, and we're growing over a 2-year period a pearl. So it's very scientific. And when you mix the color of that oyster lip that we've sacrificed and the color of the oyster lip that we're inserting into, that's what creates the color of the pearl. So we purposely try to pick oysters that have a beautiful rainbow luster.
Wow. Well, this is gorgeous. And I see it.
Yeah. So this is all natural as well. So it's natural gems. It's the only natural gem created 100% in nature by an animal. Isn't it amazing?
Yes, it
blows your mind.
is.
It really is.
And it sounds like I'm talking about 35, 19. I'm not talking about the future. This happened. This started 100 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's how far the Japanese are ahead.
Mm-hmm.
They are futuristic.
Yeah. Especially with this natural. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is incredible.
It's like every culture has their gift or something from the creator.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
The Japanese are just very they're technical, but Mikimoto, it took him probably 100,000 tries to actually culture the pearl. He just kept trying and trying and trying. All different stuff.
That is incredible.
So where can people find you to find these masterpieces?
Yeah, I'm very hard to get hold of.
So because
I travel a lot. Yeah. So I'm normally in Tahiti or Japan. I go to all these pearl auctions, and then I go to Aspen a lot, and then the Hamptons and between New York and LA. But my Will Hannigan Pearls Instagram is you just slide up in my DM.
Slide up in my DM.
That's it.
Slide up in the DM.
That's what you gotta do.
So all people can pretty much wear your curls, because I was going to ask, like, what type of client or what type of person do you think would appreciate your jewelry? But I mean, when I look at it, and I figure everybody feels the same way. Everyone from rock stars to
a lot of rock stars, and I love those like little old Japanese ladies, like little old Asian ladies are my favorite people. The tiny little ladies that love to wear the biggest things,
Really? Wow.
It's because they probably understand the science behind it,
the
value of the pearl, and they're like, this is the bomb.com.
They have a 5,000-year-old culture.
Yeah, they understand.
Yeah, and these big things, they're like, I don't know, they're just beautiful.
That's amazing.
When you fully understand it.
I congratulate you on following your truth and that journey.
Totally.
Thank you.
So
to
unique.
share this beauty with the world and us the story. So
thanks, guys. You guys helped me go deep tonight.
Yeah, that's us, the dream team.
That's good.
Rainbows and everything.
Yeah.
I'm just tripping off of these because that's pretty powerful, man.
Yeah, it really is.
If there's time for one more question, I have one.
The sacrifice.
Going into your roots in that Aboriginal culture and your mother and just her being a native of the land, what does that mean to you, and how do you keep that real today in modern society?
I'm hardly home, but I've been adopted by the Crow people of Montana. So I've been doing the Sundance, which is a full trip. So for 3 days, I go into this lodge with, open air lodge with a bunch of Native American, beautiful, beautiful family that have let me into their culture. So I go in, I do this Sundance. So for me, on this land, this is, the land of the Americas, this feels like the path that I should be taking while I'm here. And it is a deep healing experience. So you go for 3 days with no food or water, and you're just smoking tobacco and saying a lot of prayers, just praying. You pray before the morning sun, and then when you see that sun, you're praying at the sun, and then you're just taking
something about that sun.
Yeah, that's the original God is light. It's that sun. Okay. So that's how I bring it back to
your roots.
To my roots. But this is part of my spiritual journey is also being aware of other cultures and being able to appreciate other cultures. I grew up in one particular culture, so that allows me to then be very open and accepting of other cultures too. So that's how I do it here.
That's awesome. Well, man, I want to thank you, man, for for blessing us, man. Because that's pretty deep. That's pretty deep. Because the journey of the pearl just got a little more information for me.
Me too.
Pretty much everybody else. Because that's I gotta tip my cap to you.
Thank you.
Because I'm not the one that's going down there to get it.
Exactly.
I'm not going to get that.
Exactly.
We got younger men now, so I'm good. I'm semi-retired. I'm on the border of being too old for that shit.
I hear you. But man, I want to ask you one question as we break out, man. I want to find out, through all that you do, what do you consider your superpower?
I don't know. I think I'm a little bit too loving and trusting. I think I'm a little bit too of this, like, I would love and trust everyone that comes to me. Everyone. I just,
That's a gift.
That's a gift.
Yeah,
Vulnerability.
I get road rage too, though. I'll fire up. And like,
I trusted you. I trusted you to put your blinkers on.
But I think that's always good. It's good to be loving and trusting and just come here with an open heart.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. And so it's good now. But I've just learned, like, I work downtown, so I'm seeing homeless people non-stop downtown. And that is a trip. That is that is, I've been to India, and that is worse than India, because at least India, it's part of the culture that you're going to have the extremes of, there's a lot of poor people, but here it's just a small amount. So when I go downtown, like, I just like to spend time, like some people, I want $1, man. Sing something for me. And then there was one man, he just came out and he's saying, imagine all the people. Sang the whole thing. And I was like, man, that's worth $2 today. You're like, touch me there.
So sweet that touch me there.
Yeah, that was good. I just, and that's what I love about being in America. There's so many people here. I come from a town of 10,000, 15,000 maybe now. It's probably grown a bit. In a state the same size as like Washington, Oregon, and California, with only maybe 2 million people living in that whole state, and 1.8 million people live in the capital city, and then there's probably 200,000 people that are spread out like little, very, very finely. And being in America, I get to have so many different interactions with people. Yeah, I get so many stories. I get to hear your story, and everyone's story, and it's just good to have all those interactions with people and just really like feel, just appreciate the other perspective, other point of view.
Definitely,
it's good,
man. Well, you gave us all a different point of view today,
Absolutely.
man. I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Most definitely.
I can just keep going. You guys are opening me up.
I know, it feels good, right?
Yeah.
We tend to have that effect on people.
Let's take some calls. Let's go.
Definitely.
Wow. Well, thanks again, Will, for coming through and teaching us something, because and like you said, America has a bunch of story. We're storytellers at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's what we live life for, to tell a story. But nothing like this has come through us, our channel. So thank you for being yourself, and
so beautiful.
Please come back. Tell us how to world travel.
Thank you all for having us.
Yeah. All right, let's give it up for William. Trip Digital Radio presents LA Style Magazine. We will be back.